I was on TikTok, right? And I was and I was talking a video, and that's how, y'all see in the description, it said, what is, why I left Freemasonry. So if y'all don't know, I used to, for some time, I was a Freemason of the Prince Hall Lodge back in Atlanta.
Got some experiences for that, y'all. Some humorous stories.
People always say, because I was bringing this up because I'm just, bringing out things of my past and things that those masonry is one of those things I denounced. But I started to make people uncomfortable on TikTok when I started telling why I left Freemasonry because I started seeing so many videos and things people talking about. Every time something dark or demonic happens in the world, every time there is world powers, the first thing the world wants to say is Freemason. And I put a post on and said, people need to stop letting Freemasonry be the all be all of darkness. It's not, y'all. You can walk up the street, make 2 left turns, and it's a lodge hidden on everybody's in your city. It's probably 2 or 3 in your city. And what brought me to say, because if something's darkness and it's of a higher power, it's not going to be hidden in plain sight most of the time. It's really going to be secretive. You're not going to know nothing about it or the people that's in it or know where to find it.
So what you're saying is it's not at that lowest level. You're saying that
it is at the lowest level. If that's what
I'm saying that in Freemasonry, there may be some things that are done, but it's not at the lowest level, like at your local lodge. That's what I mean. I mean lowest level, like the floor level. How you enter.
Yeah.
But not like low as in low vibration. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying low as in that's like the basic level. That's where you start and you go. You're to the lodges, but there are levels to it. And then the more that it increases, there may be some things that as you continue to go up, that it could be. What you're saying?
So I was a 33 degree Mason, and even at the higher levels, it's still kind of like it's still like.
But that goes back to
something. It has to go something way beyond Masonry, because you have things that people call the Illuminati, right? And stuff like that. That's not Masonry. Those are literally, you have different groups that are considered illuminated, that are doing dark things. The Freemason thing is on the lowest level. That's the stuff. That's the crumbs. That's throwing something out to people to get them, because
but
what they don't know nothing about,
right?
To make it seem so dark. It's not that dark and glimmer. The rituals are dark.
Okay.
That you sign, the oaths are signed that you sign and become a Masonry is dark. But
but
Masonry in itself,
it's still under the title of that, though. That's what I'm saying.
No, it's not.
Okay.
It's not. The things that are going on in this world, the dark things that are going on in the world, is not going to Freemasonry. These are people that are way beyond that stuff. And Freemasonry is was a secretive organization. I was on the Prince Hall side, which basically a slave had me start a lodge because the white lodges wouldn't let the black man into his lodge, so he created his own lodge. It's not, the darkness is very minimal on that.
Right.
And I just got so tired of seeing on TikTok every time something happens in the world, people like us, because they are Freemason. Anytime, man, you don't know what you're talking about, man. That's not the truth. That's not the truth.
King Yeti says Freemasonry has you perform rituals that are against God and commit to allegiances that God doesn't approve of.
And you are absolutely right, King Yeti. You can, if you took the words out my mouth and you said it directly, you are absolutely right. And that's what I wanted to. It's the rituals and oaths. And I had a lot of people fighting with me in TikTok about it. People were so upset that I went against that. And I wasn't even going against it just to talk about it. I was going against that to say Freemasonry was not the overall, the be all of darkness. But the world wants it to. And the people that say that usually is some skinny 115-pound black dude with a whole bunch of conspiracy knowledge in his head. And so that's why, and this is just one of those things I would just come out and just saying, as our journey shift, I just was, bringing that out about myself because I denounced it. So I have no problem talking about it and no fear of it. But I know this is random, but it was just came to me when I was on TikTok the other day.
Do you want to show it or?
Yeah. Look at. And so this is all I was saying. And then I'm gonna play this. It's short. This is all I was saying. I wasn't even trying to bash or doing nothing. I was just like, I'm gonna play this, y'all. Hey, before I get started, if you see this on my face, it's because my wife gave me some sugar before she left. Don't be jealous. But I just want to say, man, I see everybody get on here and start talking about, as soon as something dark happens or something dark person or some Illuminati is claimed, they always go to Freemason. Listen, I was a former Freemason. I denounced that. I'm no longer Freemason. That's not who I am anymore. But people get on here, you know good and well, you know nothing about Freemasonry or any of that. And that's the first thing people go to and say, oh, this person Freemasonry. That's why the dark powers. That's bullcrap. That's bullcrap. That's bullcrap. You're a conspiracy theorist. And if it comes to Freemasonry, it's not your average black Freemasonry. If there is some dark powers, it's gonna be Scottish Rite Freemasonry and some old man sitting way up here, or old groups. Them the ones ain't really to worry about. People get that so twisted. There's so many lodges around here. This is not like Illuminati kind of creation stuff to where you can't see this. You can walk up the street and see your local Masonry lodge. They're not doing nothing. Now, the rituals that are done in Freemason are demonic, but that has nothing to do with the world powers that's going on right now. This is your local old man. I'm in a lodge. We've been in this lodge, Daddy's lodge, forever, and that's about it. They ain't going nowhere. They're doing bake sales and cookies and stuff like that. It's not the devil. The rituals are the devil. Now, I don't believe nobody joined Freemasonry or any fraternities or sororities, but the rituals are not of God. But that's not where the world powers of the demonic stuff's coming. There's so many things. There are elite groups in here that nobody knows the name of. But why would elite groups want you know the name of these people? They're going to stay quiet, elite, and unknown. So most of the time I keep hearing people saying it's about free religion. Stop saying it. You don't know what the hell you're talking about. You really just spewing out mouth words. Your mouth just moving and talking crazy. I was a former Freemason. We wasn't going up and working with the enemies of the world and the dark powers. Do I believe that there's some levels, maybe old men on the Scottish Rite side at the very top? That could be. I don't know, maybe, but it's not what you think it is. It's not what you think it is. And if you it's really something from your daddy's lodge, what your daddy and daddy used to do to collectively come together as a group, and it doesn't have any fruit. It's very fruitless. You probably have more fruit as a gang member from one gang. I wasn't ever in a gang, but two gang members probably, you're going to probably have people that's connect and do more for each other with two gang members than you have than Freemasonry. It ain't that deep, bro. It ain't that deep. The origins are dark, but it's not it's not the world. Everybody's a Freemason and doing demonic stuff. That's cap. Hey, you see what I'm saying? You see what I was?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I mean, just okay, but I feel like as you continue to climb up, there may be some things that people, like I said, at the bottom aren't aware of. I don't know. I just know my dad was one, and he mentioned, that it was supposedly a secret, community, but it wasn't, of God. And
no, it wasn't of God.
And he didn't participate in it too long himself.
I had people doing side-by-side videos of me on TikTok saying, this guy's wrong, and, why is it the devil? So when you're in Freemasonry, you have to do oaths. You have to do rituals to be a Mason. The things of Mason, anybody can be of any belief, can be of a Mason. And you could be I don't think you could be a Satan, but you could be an atheist. You could be Hindu. I don't think Satanists could do it, or maybe so. But you're reading from the Bible on it. But you got to do all these rituals that are highly satanic. And I would go back and forth with people. I was going back and forth with people in the comment section saying why. And I really started to learn with people that even if you're talking about a message that that's talking about something else, people pick out what emotionally affects them and they take it and run with that.
Yeah.
This is just a small part of the story. I'm saying just how we making shifts and stuff in content. But I know that was random, y'all, but it irritated the hell out of me. People were fighting several people made side-by-side videos going against me. You know that? We
went to, he had this, I remember this ceremony that he had that we had to go to. And after this ceremony, I said to myself, I don't know how he does it, but I will not go to another one. When I say this was old, ancient, like I felt like I didn't even realize what was going on. I couldn't even wrap my mind around, and I was trying my best to stay awake, y'all. It was so hard. I had to keep getting up, going to the bathroom. I don't know why I had candy in my purse, but whatever it meant, cough drop. It was insanity. And I'm like, what are they saying? And what is going on? Why are we still here from afternoon to night? It was crazy.
I remember a time when you couldn't
I didn't understand it.
Yeah. No, because it's just Freemason is just, for the most part, for 90%, like you said, I've heard people say, like you said, it might be some higher levels or not higher levels, but it might be people that were in a lodge, but also do this over here. But I don't believe that the lodge is the one to go to for this.
Right.
They might have been members, but then they also do this and they with these groups and they doing that.
I got you.
But I think the world puts too much on conspiracy when you need to put more on God. If you put more focus on God, that stuff don't matter because God gonna talk to you and tell you what's up with folks anyway.
True.
But I think that it's very ritualistic, and that's what you would see. When you went to the lodge, I mean, when you go back and go to the lodge, I mean, it's rituals and they're boring.
Oh my gosh.
But it's boring. But when you read the text and when you become a Mason, when you read the text, the oath you have to take, there's nothing positive about it, man. It's very creepazoid to become it. And I don't know the purpose of, I couldn't understand the purpose of why it had to be so many dark things to become of this group.
And when they're reading the rituals, from when I remember, it was like, what does this have to do with, it didn't seem like it was, like you said, of God. Like, what was it being explained? What were you talking to? Like, what were they talking about?
It was just pretty much giving you the history of Mason. It's a lot of decrees and oath and a lot of bylaws on, and then you learn signs and symbols and all stuff like a game.
You got to go to a whole ceremony for 8 hours to hear that?
Well, think how long it takes to become one. It takes months and months to become a Mason because you got to know all this and blah blah blah. But then on the other end, you got real dark powers out here, people that have a lot of money and they come together and they meet up at places.
Yeah.
Or no, you got dark powers meet up on Zoom, controlling the world. Jumping on a jet, meeting over here, and people focus so much on Freemasonry. I'm like, and then I saw somebody, he said, King Yeti said Scottish Rite was infiltrated by Illuminati shortly after Adam Weishaupt. Illuminati founded, created the Illuminati in 1776, 1770 with initiated into the Masons. Yeah, and that's why I said, I don't know. I said the Scottish Rite, if it is, it's going to be some really old group doing something way far off somewhere. But for majority of this Masonry lodge that you see, that you walk into, it's not that deep. And then most of these people are old men. It's old. The young folks ain't joining like that.
No, these young folks on they on something else
like that.
They ain't interested in that. So much has changed now with the.
Somebody said, I thought you were kidding. It's about George Bush and the CIA. That's what I was told. Lisa, you funny. No. I was a Mason for a good little minute, and then me and my wife had a talk, and this was a while ago. This is stuff I've just never mentioned or shared, but this is years ago. And my wife, I remember having a conversation with me when she had talked to her dad, and when she said she had talked to her dad, and he said what he pretty much said to a nutshell, because he wasn't. Pops wasn't really he wasn't with all going back and forth with you. He said it to you, and hey, it's so your choice to go whatever route with it.
Yeah, that's pretty.
And I couldn't believe that. Like what he was like, it's not a God beginning. Because they're reading from the Bible.
Yeah,
they're reading. It's like Hebrew Israelites, and they cherry picking stuff from the Bible to make it make sense.
Yeah,
and then you make a whole lodge off these few little scriptures. And I ain't gonna say with all this stuff. That stuff you can go look up. It is so many people that have gone and have walked in these lodges with cameras and stuff like that. It ain't even. That's what I'm saying. It ain't even such a big deal no more.
They be sleep. They'll be sleep before they know it.
He said I thought most of the presidents were in that group. Yeah, maybe some of the older ones. I'm telling y'all, it ain't that deep like that. They can form a different kind of group and do all that kind of stuff. You ain't got to go through all this routine of
That's
Masonry.
What I said, Katie. She said, doesn't it depend on the level? The higher levels supposedly are more involved in bad things. That's what I was thinking. Like the higher level you are, that's what
I believe. That there was one time that was said that was so okay. I was a 33 degree Master Mason. You go to the Knights Templar, the Scottish Rite, all that stuff. It just But there was said that, I don't know if this is true because I'm not a conspiracy theorist like that, but there was said that once you go up to the very top, there's one level above that people don't have no clue about. And I guarantee you, if there is a group over that, it's not called a Masonry. That goes into illuminated darkness. Okay. But it's not Mason. People believe that when they see Masons, it's when they see them with the symbols and stuff, this is some dark world power. Child, please. This is your old granddaddy like fried chicken. This
That's funny. But yeah, I mean, my dad.
Hold on. Audrey said, "Do they have AC at their meetings? Because I could go for some." Let me tell you. Listen, the lodge I used to go to, man. They had air conditioning, but everything was, well, I don't know why everything's so damn old. And it's just all the wood crooked and stuff. And then, lodges are like that. All lodges are like that. I've gone to other lodges in our lodge back in the back, and we would go, have to go to another lodge, and everything's old. The air worked. The air did work. The air did work. But imagine you go into an old church, a really old church where everything's wood. Some have the whole floors checkerboard. It just depends on the lodge and stuff like that. But it was no people coming together we're going to take over the world and do Satanism. It's not. It really became where I was like, this is such a waste of my daggone time. Why am I doing this? I'm too young for this. I was in my 20s. Why am I doing this?
I know. I would ask like, what are you? So if the ceremony was that way, what do you do when you go? Is just as boring as when you go than it was that day that I went with you? Because I was like, I can't do this again. I was like, y'all, I was so struggling, and I was sitting there looking at those women like, how do women sitting here just wide awake?
Katie said, what about all the ex-Mason testimonies talking about all the bad things with Mason? I don't know, some of that stuff be capped. Because I don't know truly who was, if they were truly ex-Mason. Sometimes people just want to make content. I'm telling you straight up from being one, that what you see wasn't that deep. The deepest thing that you could see as a Mason, the worst thing as a Mason, was the oath and the rituals that you bind yourself to joining a Masonry. Like joining a gang. You go in a gang, you get beat up. Now you're supposed to be bound to this for the rest of your life. But they don't have, the difference with this gang is you had deeper satanic, I say satanic, but demonic things in writing that you will bound yourself to ritualistically. And what we have learned that when it's what's called agreement, right? You things that you come into agreement with that you don't look over. When you have no spiritual strength and you have no spiritual knowledge, which most of those people who are arguing back with me, they don't. When you have no spiritual knowledge, you don't know that you sign covenants and agreement. There are the demonic world is way bigger than the spiritual. And fortunately, and there are some people that can see that world, but that world is way bigger than the world that you and I know. And when you sign stuff that tells legal right to these spirits, whichever local ones that are whatever the principality or whichever the ones that have come and entered in your space because they want you to do this and that, you have given them right to bother you and torment you. And when you sign rituals and you do ritualistic stuff, now I'm wondering why I'm having weird nightmares. Why now I'm wondering why I have sleep paralysis. It's called ritual. And you have to come out of agreement with stuff that's not of God. Anything that you go into agreement with that's not of God, you're going into agreement with something. And people don't understand that. And there's a whole spiritual world that you don't know that's around you that don't play.
Joe said,
and it plays off your ignorance.
Joe's Jet said Tuesday fellowship, Wednesday community service, Thursday world domination meeting, Friday bowling night. Right. Exactly. Fish fry. You forgot the fish fry, Joe. Yeah, but even, and we were talking about this today or yesterday.
That's hilarious.
We were talking about the spiritual world and how so many things go on in people's lives. They don't realize that the spiritual world, you're living based off of what is going on spiritually. Your physical world is a reflection and a mirror of your spiritual world. We have to, zoom into that. But many people, you don't even zoom in. They just...
Well, they don't know.
Yeah.
To zoom in means you have to be aware to zoom into something.
True.
Most people don't know that if you go out... If you anybody on this live, if you're doing tarot cards, if you're a witch, If you're doing any of these demonic things that are against God,
Crystals,
sorcery, crystals,
sage burning
sage from an aspect of not sage as fragrance, but you burning sage to cleanse demonic spirits.
Girl, my Leo friends, or girl, my Scorpio
astrology.
friends, or
all these things above pretty much sign contracts to let something bother you, because they understand that you don't know, but they play off your understanding. And demons are really easy to they're pretty easy to deal with once you know that, once you start really seeing the spiritual world and seeing you come into covenant. But we don't know because we always follow what other people have done. When I became a Mason, that was because I thought that was tradition. My grandfather, my uncles, my family, especially on my mom's side, have been that. And I never thought of anything dark. I still have, me and my mom will go into it back and forth, and I kind of have to shut my mom down at times because she would get so offended to say, she would get very offended to be like, well, my father would have never been in blah, blah. He was never in the I'm like, Mama, you don't understand. You don't understand that. That ain't no word you don't understand. Let it go.
And I was going to say too, before I forget about, tradition. Many of us, who grew up in the church, our families went to church, mama, auntie, grandmama, and them, went to church, or your parents, went to church. And so naturally, as a kid, you go. And then as an adult, if you choose to still believe in that belief, you're going to go. But, when do you have that relationship? When do you get to know more? And even then, it's like you still don't even know all of, what it is to be a believer in Christ. I'm going to say levels, but that just to me is like levels of understanding, because the Bible, it tells you. So for myself, it's like when the question for me that I asked myself, did Jesus and the 12, did they move that way? That's really like a general guideline for people to really ask themselves when they start want to dibble and dabble in these things, especially if you call yourself and say with your mouth that you are a believer in Jesus. Because crystals, witchcraft, white magic, black magic, astral projection,
African ancestor,
all of that is it. Where did he use practice wise and in his scripture that consented to that? He talked about it, but he talked against those practices. So if he talked against the practice, he didn't use no crystals. He wasn't talking about praying to the ancestors. He wasn't talking about no white magic, black magic. He didn't have to do none of that. Who was the first known celebrity that you ever knew? Jesus. And people don't even look at it like, and I just thought about it. I was like, wait, Jesus was a celebrity in his day. He had to move strategically. The 12 was with him 98% of the time, unless he went off on his own. But you couldn't get close to him. I'm just saying.
But stuff like, so I know Lisa LK said astrology is so fun. Dang. Yeah, so what it is, astrology, it